I don't know if Draymond Green will be back as a Golden State Warrior.
I'm truly at a loss for words for what is going on with Draymond Green, as I don't think that I've seen anything quite like this before. There are modern players who have built reputations as trash talkers and enforcers, and then there's a guy like Draymond Green who is now literally in a league of his own when it comes to this type of thing. Draymond has played in 15 games this season, and he's already been ejected from 3 of them. And don't look now, but with 18 ejections, Draymond has loudly been closing in on the ejections record held by the great Rasheed Wallace. Ironically enough, earlier this month, Rasheed actually wished that Draymond would break his record of 29 ejections, while blaming the way that Draymond is currently acting on being around him in that 04 Pistons locker room. Honestly, that ejections record is one that I really hope that Draymond doesn't touch, because this man is a literal living legend who I'd much rather be remembered for their skill than their antics on their way out. Draymond is one of the best defenders to touch a basketball and has been a key cog for one of the most unique dynasties ever throughout the course of his career. It really is impossible to overstate what this man has meant for the Golden State Warriors over the years. And yet, here the Warriors stand with Draymond yet again finding himself unable to contribute to the team because he's being forced to lay in the bed that he's made for himself. It's hard to believe that just a few weeks ago that Draymond flat out had Gobert in a headlock in the name of trying to keep the peace. Sure, in this situation, Gobert definitely made the choice to get into the middle of things, but let's be real, Draymond wasn't missing out on this opportunity if his life depended on it. I mean, he arrived at this situation like he was shot out of a cannon. Just imagine if another player on the Timberwolves had the same type of energy as Draymond here and checks Dre after he checks Gobert. That would have been a disaster. The last thing the NBA needs is another Malice at the Palace incident and even more negative publicity when things have already been hitting the fan lately. Now I know that there's been some static between Gobert and Draymond, but never in a million years did I see Dre putting my guy in a headlock as he drags him into the abyss. The situation was so wild that it even caught Rudy Gobert by surprise, and this man has seen more than his fair share of things pertaining to hate. You know, I truly do feel bad for Gobert. This man has been choked out by Draymond Green, felt like he had to swing on his own teammate because of disrespect, and even had the whole world hate him at one point in time, all because he felt the need to make a tone-deaf joke at a time where things needed to be taken very seriously. Now, while Draymond says that he was only defending his teammate here, Gobert believes that Draymond seriously tried to hurt him, saying that he was grabbing me, but the choke wasn't good enough for me to really have to pass out. But he tried really hard. It just wasn't good enough where I felt like I was in danger of falling asleep. Gobert would also go on to call Green's actions clown behavior, and I can't blame him at all on this one. I would probably be pretty mad too if somebody had me in a chokehold during a basketball game. At the end of the day, the NBA is meant to be a basketball league. It's not meant to be WWE Monday Night Raw, regardless of how fun that would be. So Draymond would go on to get suspended just 5 games for his altercation with Rudy Gobert. While initially this suspension seems short for literally putting somebody in a chokehold, I'm just happy that Draymond was suspended, period. Remember that this man wasn't suspended at all for decking his teammate. Not only was this man not suspended, but the young promising player that he decked would get shipped off in the offseason for a 38-year-old Chris Paul, while Draymond would get a 4-year, $100 million contract with his best years unfortunately behind him. I'm not sure how we ever expected Draymond to learn a lesson when he keeps getting away with and even rewarded for his behavior. At this point in time, I'm starting to wonder if Draymond was expecting a bonus for hitting Jusuf Nurkic with that spinning punch that felt like it was straight out of Smash Bros. Now, while this incident wouldn't exactly be a laughing matter, I do find Draymond's explanation of what happened comical. To quote Draymond, "I'm not one to apologize for things that I meant to do, but I do apologize to Jusuf even though I didn't intend to hit him. I sell calls with my arms. I don't fall to sell a call. I'm not a flopper. I was just selling the call because he was grabbing and pulling my hip. So I spun away and unfortunately, I hit him." If this was the first time that something like this happened, then there's a chance that he'd get the benefit of the doubt here. But unfortunately, there's more than enough documented history with Draymond to believe that there was some intent behind what he did, even if it wasn't fully malicious. At best, what he did would be deemed reckless if nothing else. Jusuf Nurkic definitely wasn't buying what Draymond was selling in his apology, questioning what's going on with him and saying that he personally thinks that Draymond needs some help. Kevin Durant would go on to echo a similar sentiment, saying that was insane to see. Never seen that in an NBA game. He hasn't been that way when I was around or coming into the league, so let's hope that he gets the help that he needs. That right there is where we are with this Draymond Green situation. Players are just wishing the best for this guy. So this recent incident with Nurkic would finally force Adam Silver's hand, as December 13th, the NBA would drop a full press release announcing that Draymond Green would be indefinitely suspended while being required to meet certain league and team requirements before he returns to play. In this press release, the NBA would make it known that Draymond's history definitely played a factor in the way that he's being suspended, saying that this outcome takes into account Green's repeated history of unsportsmanlike acts. Imagine you're Steph Curry, doing all that you can at 35 years old to will this team to victory, averaging 29.1 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.4 assists on 46.8% from the field. And then you have a teammate who has been a key piece of your core over the years, simply refusing to stay on the court while you continue to play your heart out. You'd probably grow a bit frustrated, right? Well, then it should be no surprise that Curry has been showing signs of frustration. To quote a Steph Curry who has been growing increasingly frustrated as of late, "We need everybody available. That's how we're built. There's no secret to our success." Look, I know that the Golden State Warriors aren't as good as they used to be, and that Steph is getting up there in age, but I really do believe that there's still a ton of untapped potential on this team. It really just comes down to everybody locking in and Kerr allowing that talent to thrive. If I'm a Draymond Green that still truly cares for this franchise and cares about my role with this team going forward, then I'm doing everything that I can to get my act together. Because as Shams said on FDTV, even if it may be unlikely, there's still a world that exists where Jonathan Kuminga grabs a hold of that starting role and then doesn't let go. As wild as it sounds, and as good as Draymond can be and has been for this team, as we have said time and time again on this channel, sometimes your best ability can be your availability. If the man isn't available and he's constantly causing problems, then how much can he really help the team that is trying to maximize the final years of one of, if not the greatest point guard to ever play the game of basketball? Honestly, I'm sure that now most of, if not all of us, are disgusted with Draymond's actions, but perhaps nobody is more disappointed at them than the Golden State Warriors themselves. This team has continued to defend and reward Draymond while he continues to basically do whatever in the world it is that he wants to do with no regard for the franchise. There have been multiple instances where Draymond's antics have straight up played a direct hand in the Warriors losing their composure and also games altogether this season. If you were to ask me, a suspension like the one that Dre just got handed to him is something that the Warriors should have done for themselves a long time ago. Now, while I am happy that Green's shenanigans will be coming to an end in the short term, I'd be a lot happier if his suspension had long-term effects and if he really did learn something from all of this. Basically, I don't want this to be one of those situations where it's just a bunch of lip service from every party involved that makes for good PR. Guys, in the comments below, let me know if you think that there's any chance that we could be close to witnessing the end of Draymond and Golden State as we know it. If you were the Golden State Warriors, how much more from Draymond would you be willing to put up with, knowing that your championship window is now incredibly fragile with Steph Curry making 36 in March? Also, let me know if you guys agree with Stephen A. Does this situation say anything about Steph's leadership, and are we just not being hard enough on him? Again, guys, let me know what you think of everything down in the comments below. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.